Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting. A movement of people, it's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. With you and God in time, I best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
How can I be a better father, son, a better grandson, honoring Fannie Lou's and the Fred Hamptons, the Harriets, the chariots that carry us to various areas that marry us to progress. Yeah, we the harvest, the lovely days and midnight marauders, even through charges and days of darkness. No, we in the hands of the greatest artists. I see it in the waters, I see it in our daughters. They could be bridges that know no borders. For so long, them folks try to ignore us. When we at the ballot box, it's a vote for us. Peace to Stacey and the people of Georgia, who galvanized so that we can move forward. Steps are ordered with the presence of mind. Everything's more beautiful in time.
You are listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent, joining you live in afternoon drive time right here in what looks like a pretty gloomy LA, not our usual 72 and sunny, but we'll take it, especially considering the weather forecast in large swaths of the country. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app if you haven't. That way you'll never miss an episode, particularly live. We're just right there at the palm of your hand. Last but not least, subscribe to a More Perfect Union podcast. That way you won't miss some of our most memorable conversations. Now, listen, raise your hand if you are a Jilly from Philly fan. Are you a Jill Scott fan? Are there any Jill Scott fans out there? Jill Scott fans, raise your hands. Well, if you enjoy Jilly from Philly as much as I enjoy Jilly from Philly, then you need to lean in. You need to lean in right about now because Jilly's coming to town. Jilly is coming to town. She's coming to Los Angeles, and she will be performing right here in Hollywood. I am over the moon excited that Jilly's going to be here performing at the Blue Note in Hollywood. Hello. And it's all going down on January 31st. January 31st, Jilly from Philly is going to be here in LA, and she's going to turn it out. And look, what makes this so remarkable is that everybody is on the edge of their seat, really excited about Jill Scott's latest album. Her new album is coming out the day before Valentine's Day. And so what makes this extra special is that we get to get a taste of the new album at the Blue Note in Los Angeles. And so be there or be square, January 31st. Tickets are available now. This could be an early Valentine's something. I'm just saying, I'm trying to help the people. And so there you have it. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, not far from our home station in Los Angeles, KBLA, the LA Times is reporting that an immigration agent has shot at a suspect during an operation in South Los Angeles. This is what we know at the moment. A federal immigration agent shot at a suspect during a targeted operation in South LA. That happened just this morning, drawing a crowd of protesters to the shut down street and intensifying safety concerns in the immigrant heavy community. A federal agent opened fire at a man after he rammed federal law enforcement with his vehicle while attempting to evade arrest during an ICE operation in Compton. This is what the Department of Homeland Security is saying. So this ain't what the streets are saying. This is what the Homeland Security Department is saying. The man was not wounded, but a U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent sustained unspecified injuries. At 7:05 a.m., the Homeland Security officers conducted an operation to apprehend William Eduardo Moran Carballo, a citizen of El Salvador who's accused of being in the U.S. illegally and, quotes, participating in a human smuggling operation. That's according to the department spokesperson. In an attempt to flee, Carballo, quotes, weaponized his vehicle and rammed law enforcement who fired at Carballo in defense. Again, this is according to the Homeland Security spokesperson. And so we'll continue to keep our eye on this. But these ICE raids that are sweeping through the country as a part of the Trump administration's mass deportation efforts, it's happening everywhere, including a stone's throw away from our home station in Los Angeles. From LA to Davos, where world leaders are gathered today, including California Governor Gavin Newsom, who says that the White House blocked him from speaking at the global forum. That's right. Governor Gavin Newsom's office said that the California governor was blocked by the Trump administration from speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland today. Newsom had been asked to speak at an event at the USA House, an American pavilion at the annual gathering of world leaders. Newsom's office staff said that they were told that a, quote, venue level decision was made to, quote, not include an elected U.S. official in the programming. The fireside chat was scheduled for Wednesday evening in Davos, which, of course, is 9 hours ahead of Pacific Standard Time. Newsom wrote on social media, on X, he said, quote, how weak and pathetic do you have to be this scared of a fireside chat? Newsom's office said the governor had planned to respond to the speech President Trump had made in Davos just hours before. And during that address, Trump said that he wanted to get Greenland, including right, title, and ownership, while insisting he would not use force to do so. Trump used his remarks at the World Economic Forum to repeatedly criticize European allies and to suggest that NATO should not interfere with U.S. expansionist ambitions. And back here at home, Navy Admiral who was removed by U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced a run for Congress. A senior Navy official removed from her post by the Defense Secretary last year is now running for Congress. Her name is Nancy LaCour, who served in the Navy for 35 years as a Navy helicopter pilot, a 3-star admiral, and the chief of the Navy Reserve. She announced that she is running for South Carolina's 1st congressional district, saying, quotes, after decades of service to our country, a career that started as a Navy pilot and finished as a 3-star admiral, I was removed from my position without cause. I still have more to give, more to fight for, more work to do, and I'm not done serving. That's what the now retired officer said in a post on X. And so for folks out there that are looking for some good trouble to get into, it might involve getting out there and supporting the campaign, or at least learning more about the campaign of Nancy LaCour, who is running for Congress again in the 1st District in South Carolina. And so we'll continue to keep our eyes on her. When we come forward, I'm really looking forward to being in conversation with my friend and brother and colleague, Jesse Jackson Jr. You might have heard that Rahm Emanuel had some comments that were featured on social media, looked to be going viral on social media. He was asked what Democrats should focus on for 2026. And his response to that was, when the president's talking about Greenland, we're going to talk about groceries. You want to talk about Venezuela? We want to talk about the families that are struggling in Virginia. Our focus is the American people. I'm going to ask the Honorable Jesse Jackson Jr. if he agrees with that. We'll also talk about how U.S. courts are allowing ICE to arrest and pepper spray peaceful protesters in Minnesota, and what that recent decision from the court might mean for the rest of the nation. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with Jesse Jackson Jr.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Hey, KBLA delegation, you know what's better than laughing? Laughing while celebrating the legends who made us laugh in the first place. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to present our annual Black History Month luncheon. And this year, we're honoring comedy greats, trailblazers who broke barriers, and funny bones at the same time.
You had to grow up early when we was growing up because your parents were sending to the store to buy. You was too young to buy. I want you to go to the store, give me a 5th of gin and a pack of cigarettes. Mama, I'm 2. They ain't gonna let me have that. Here, take this note. You be a little boy walking down the street with liquor and cigarettes, and your neighbors be going, that's a good little boy right there.
We need a little levity right about now. So we're rolling out the red carpet for comedy royalty. D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Lunel, Dion Cole, Martin Lawrence, and a surprise guest appearance. It's going up Thursday, February 26th in downtown LA at the Grammy Museum. An unforgettable afternoon of stories, celebration, and yes, plenty of laughs, because let's be real, these legends don't just tell jokes. They have changed the game, opened doors, and made history while making us smile.
You gotta go to child support court. You gotta get there real early in the morning. You see brothers going into court. You see them come out 3 hours later. I can't pay this. Let me talk to you, baby. Please, let me talk to the witness, Sean. Let me talk to the witness. Brother be working for 3 weeks, get his check, is $43.
This year, for the first time ever, we have set aside a limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon. They are going to go fast, and when they're gone, they're gone. So if you want a single ticket, or if your company or organization wants to sponsor a table, move swiftly and get to KBLA1580.com right now. All these comedy giants in one room on one stage at the same time? Stop it! This event is going to sell out quicker than right now and sooner than at once. KBLA Talk 1580's annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. It's gonna be legendary, just like them.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
You got to laugh the pain away.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Tavish Smiley. You may have heard me talk about the new course I'm teaching, The Art of Conversation. Well, it's here, and I'm holding a live free preview session on January 26th at 6 p.m. Pacific. Here's why this matters. For almost 40 years, I've made my living having conversations that count. Presidents, activists, artists, people who've changed the world. And I've learned something in the process. Most folk have no idea how to ask a real question, how to listen, how to create a moment. Whether you're building a business, leading a team, hosting a podcast, or just want to connect better, this changes how you show up. It's free, it's live, and I might have a surprise guest joining us. Here's what you do. Go to TavishTalks.com. That's TavishTalks.com. Scan the QR code, click the registration link, and you're in. It's January 26th, 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm keeping this intimate. Don't miss it. I'll see you in class.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Tired of the same old sports talk? Ready to go where the real conversation happens? Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, host of Out of Bounds, the sports show that doesn't play it safe. Every Friday at 6 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580, my co-host Neil Scarborough and I get you ready for the weekend. We take you beyond the highlight reels and into the stories that matter. The controversial calls, the game-changing plays, the athletes making headlines for all the right reasons and sometimes the wrong ones. From the NFL to the NBA, college ball to the pros, if it's happening in sports, we're breaking it down with no filter and all opinion. Tune in to Out of Bounds with me, Ray Richardson, and my co-host Neil Scarborough, live every Friday at 6 p.m. only on KBLA Talk 1580, because the best conversations happen out of bounds. KBLA Talk 1580, where Los Angeles talks.
Hit me! National News The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. Before I welcome our guests, let me just make a quick correction because I know we're getting a lot of calls coming into the station because I was just talking about my favorite Jilly from Philly, Jill Scott, who's going to be performing at Blue Note in Los Angeles. I just saw it this morning as I was scrolling through some of my social media. She's going to be performing, I believe it's January 31st. Go to Blue Note's website to get your tickets. I don't have tickets for you. I wish I did. If I did, and you called me, I would say I got you covered, but I ain't got tickets for you. But we are in hopes of maybe getting Jill Scott to join us on A More Perfect Union. That's our hope. And so, we'll see what happens. I don't know. Maybe Jesse Jackson Jr. knows her and can put in a word. Welcome our featured guest this hour, the one and only Honorable Jesse Jackson Jr., who is my colleague and my friend and my brother. I hope you all enjoy listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. show weekdays right here on KBLA from 12 noon to 2 p.m. Pacific time. Where he breaks it all down as only he can. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Nee. How are you? Nii-Q, my man.
I'm well. How are you doing?
Man, working hard, brother. Working hard. How have you been, man?
I've been well. All things considered, I've been well because I've been in community with folks. These headlines it's a lot to digest every single day, as you know. But like you and your family, I believe that there are marvelous things we can do in community.
There's no doubt about it. I often share in a number of presentations that I give that the greatest tragedy of the hour is to be alone, is not to share, and it's not to be in community. But to be in community, there's obviously comfort, there's warmth, and there's space for us to come together. And I share this story often of how Dr. King's congregation recognized that he was a person who was born suffering. He, as you well know, attempted to kill himself twice, attempted suicide as a child twice, and he suffered. He suffered all of his life. When he talked about mountaintops and valleys, those are the highs and lows of depression by definition. And his congregation recognized his suffering. He recognized their suffering, and they found themselves in community. And it was a community of suffering. And as a result of that, they could beat back the odds because the only place they had to go was up, to climb the mountain out of the valley that they found themselves in. And so I was speaking earlier today, and I know that we have a number of questions that you'd like to cover about how when we think about Jesus of Nazareth carrying, quote, the sins of the world, or carrying all of our burdens, that's a heavy weight. But it also means that Jesus was prepared to accept everyone's fault. In fact, it may not be in the Bible, but he probably says, it's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. Give it to me. And so Dr. King carried a burden for all of us. He was prepared to say, some of what's going wrong in the world is actually me. And I'm willing to carry the burden of my people. And by carrying that burden, he was able to lift us all.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the burden, right before the break, I had mentioned that former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel was asked today what Democrats should focus on for 2026. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that you are also a candidate for Congress. We're not here to talk about that, but I think the people should know that you're running for Congress, running for your old seat. And I want to encourage people to go to jessejackson.com to learn more about your race and your campaign. But that said, back to Rahm, he was asked what Democrats should focus on for 2026. And his response was, when the president's talking about Greenland, we're going to talk about groceries. You want to talk about Venezuela? We want to talk about the families that are struggling in Virginia. Our focus is the American people. What say you?
We're going to have to do both. And that's really the African-American tradition. In Dr. King's speech, Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break the Silence, He talks about walking the streets of Chicago, where Rahm Emanuel was mayor and where I am obviously considered a candidate for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District. He said, I can no longer tell the young men on the streets carrying Molotov cocktails and engaged in violence to stop being violent. He says in that speech, they often ask me the question, well, what about Vietnam? You're asking us to be nonviolent, but the nation itself is violent. The nation is born in violence and hypocrisy. And Dr. King says in that speech that I knew at that moment that I could no longer speak with integrity to the young men in the streets unless I challenged my nation, the greatest purveyor of violence in the world. And in that speech, he not only talks about the Vietnam War, but he talks about how Venezuela is being undermined by this government. And that was in 1967 on April the 4th. Well, Venezuela is back in the news. Venezuelans who came across our border found themselves in Governor DeSantis's state and Governor Abbott's state. He put them on buses, a kind of reverse freedom rides, sent them to Chicago in below zero weather. Our city offered them sanctuary, and then when Trump became president, he sent ICE agents to the city of Chicago, began harassing the people of the city of Chicago, threatening our mayor, threatening our governor, as if he had forgotten that they were trafficked here by DeSantis and by Abbott. And so we don't get to ignore that. I live on East 72nd Street in the city of Chicago, and the national story broke on 75th Street, just 3 blocks from my home, when ICE agents were rappelling from helicopters in an urban city to empty a building of men, women, and children with their underclothes on in the cold, looking for illegal immigrants from Venezuela. And that's deeply troubling. So we have to do both.
It is deeply troubling, and your point is taken. When we come forward, I want to go beyond some more headlines with you. Just this afternoon, it was reported that U.S. courts are allowing ICE to arrest and pepper spray peaceful protesters in Minnesota, and federal immigration officers are asserting sweeping powers to forcibly enter people's homes without a judge's warrant. I want to hear your reaction to this and where this nightmare, this American nightmare, seems to be going next. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with our guest this hour, the Honorable Jesse Jackson Jr.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rending. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is shutting down rumors that the city plans to buy back its parking meters.
The final purchase price was far too high, much more than we initially received for the sale.
He says his team explored the idea but found it too expensive. Johnson also noted the meters were recently sold to another company for more than the original 2008 deal, which topped $1 billion. The Supreme Court appears skeptical of the Trump administration's authority to fire Black Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. Justices questioned her August removal over mortgage fraud allegations. Cook remains on the job as the court weighs a decision later this year. And a federal shift on marijuana is reigniting debate at the Tennessee Capitol. Black Democratic State Representative Antonio Parkinson is backing a proposal to let adults grow marijuana at home, while Republican Senator Farrell Hale is calling for a study on medical marijuana. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Crash in Fountain Valley on the 405. This is making your way along that northbound side. Watch out. It's right at Euclid. Everyone's out of lanes to the shoulder, but the drive overall slowing all the way out of Irvine, getting away from Irvine Center Drive. Diamond Bar 60 westbound at the 57. Conked out car blocking that carpool lane, sending you back from Diamond Bar Boulevard, and a wreck reported in Mid-City. 10 eastbound just past La Cienega. It's off to the shoulder, but it's not doing the drive any good because you're slow moving anyway out of Santa Monica, pushing back from just about Lincoln.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The UCLA men's basketball team got a big win Tuesday night at Pauley Pavilion. They beat Purdue, the number 4 team in the nation, 69-67. UCLA forward Tyler Bilodeau hit a game-winning three-pointer. The unranked Bruins gave Purdue their first loss in the Big Ten this season. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked 3rd in the nation, are at home tonight against Purdue. Lakers star Luka Doncic is still leading the NBA in scoring with 33.5 points per game. Despite the Clippers' blowout loss in Chicago Tuesday night, they remain in 10th place in the Western Conference, the final playoff spot in the West. Major props to African-American tennis star Coco Gauff. Gauff donated $150,000 to provide scholarships for tennis players at HBCU schools. This is the second time Gauff has made the generous gesture. She gave $100,000 to HBCU tennis programs in 2025. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and our White House correspondent, and delighted to be in conversation with my friend and brother and colleague, Jesse Jackson Jr. Again, you can hear him right here on KBLA Talk 1580, weekdays from 12 noon to 2 p.m. You can tap into the Jesse Jackson Jr. show. His ability to break things down and provide that historical context that others would much rather have us forget is unmatched. And he's here with us today. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
It's an honor to be here, Nii. Always an honor to be in your presence.
The U.S. court today, there's a story that broke this afternoon saying the U.S. court allows ICE to arrest and pepper spray peaceful protesters in Minnesota. For folks who might have missed it, an appeals court has temporarily lifted restrictions from a federal judge in Minnesota that blocked ICE agents from pepper spraying and arresting peaceful protesters in a victory for the Trump administration. The 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals today granted the Justice Department's request for an administrative stay of this preliminary injunction that was issued last Friday. Is there any other way to look at this than it being a clean victory for the Trump administration?
Yeah, the midterm elections matter because the Judiciary Committee in the House of Representatives has the oversight power over the federal judiciary, and the Senate does as well. And any federal judge who can look at the plain language of the First Amendment and conclude that the right of persons not to be secure in their person or in their home without a warrant ought to be called before the judiciary hearing and face a hearing, a very public hearing, and possibly even impeachment by the legislative branch of the government. That feature is available to the Congress of the United States. It is not available, clearly, in Mr. Johnson's House. It's not available in the Republican-led Senate. All the more reason why the check and balance process must be first and foremost on our minds when we vote in this year's primary elections and the general election in November.
And to add insult to injury, we're also learning that the immigration officers who are asserting sweeping powers and entering homes without judge warrants. I've been scrolling through various social media platforms this afternoon and have been blown away at the number of posts, the increased number of posts that I'm seeing of folks recording ICE agents who are pulling up on them in shopping parking lots, that are pulling up on them on street corners, that are pulling up to their homes and entering without warrants. The AP reporting that federal immigration officers are asserting their sweeping powers to forcibly enter people's homes without a judge's warrant. That's according to an internal ICE memo that was obtained by the Associated Press, marking a sharp reversal of long-standing guidance meant to respect the same constitutional limits on government searches you were just alluding to.
My initial thoughts are what ICE agents have historically been used for in this country, and that is patrolling the border, that is protecting the border. They have never really been on the scale that they are presently being deployed in our nation's city, where we have law enforcement procedures and people and officials in place who are responsible for the rights of citizens who respect the Constitution of the United States. We are looking at really a personal militia of President Donald Trump, in spirit, in tone, and in action, that are patrolling the streets of the United States. And we have to recognize, I think, in this moment, that something profoundly is wrong in America, and that the system itself is profoundly troubled. But again, I can't share with you enough that the Congress of the United States has the power to control the purse strings of the Department of Homeland Security. It has the power to limit the funds to the Immigration and Naturalization Service, as well as the ICE agents, including but not limited to impeaching Kristi Noem, if in fact necessary, in order to hold these agents into account. And I want to share with you one other thing. The massive amount of incentives that the President and the Department of Homeland Security has provided for hastily trained ICE agents, largely from southern states. Governor Abbott of Texas, Governor DeSantis of Florida, have sent and specifically requested that their National Guard troops be sent to northern cities to assist the ICE agents. And the idea that they are wearing masks speaks to a very dark period in our history, and it certainly speaks to a dark period in the history of the United States. We should be able to identify these officers. They should be able to Mirandize people, particularly American people, of their rights. But the right to forcibly enter a person's home is beyond the pale. And that is the downside of not having congressional representation or a majority in the House under Hakeem Jeffries holding the administration accountable.
And speaking of the House, just this afternoon, news broke. Washington Post is reporting that Democrats are seeking to block Homeland Security funding for over ICE concerns. House Democrats, the same House Democrats you're speaking of, they apparently plan to vote against a negotiated funding bill for the Department of Homeland Security this Thursday to protest ICE's aggressive actions against U.S. citizens in Minneapolis and other cities. We know where most Democrats will fall, but we know that in the House of Representatives, where there's a thin Republican majority, the question is always, are there Republicans of conscience that Democrats can get to vote their way? Of course, these ICE tactics are not just happening in Democratic districts, they're happening in Republican districts as well.
And not all Democrats are speaking out against ICE enforcement either. And so it'll be interesting to see when the final votes are cast, where some Democrats are going to fall on this. They find themselves in tight races too. And even some African Americans, albeit many of us have made it very, very clear, given our history, the representation that we've had in the United States and the behavior of law enforcement, we have been on the side, by and large, in the Congressional Black Caucus with the immigrants. The problem is there are conservative Democrats who tend to vote with Republicans, who on these questions could very well vote with Republicans as well. So it's going to take more than just 218 for Hakeem Jeffries to be able to rein in the Department of Homeland Security. We need a supermajority going into this Congress. We need an overwhelming response to the behavior of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller, Mr. Bannon, and this Congress in order to provide some modicum of normalcy in the government of the United States.
Yeah, House Democrats, again, they were initially poised to support this Department of Homeland Security funding bill because word is that congressional appropriators, they worked in a bipartisan manner to cobble together a dozen individual pieces of spending legislation necessary to pass before January 30th. But now it seems that things have made a turn. Certainly the death of folks like Renee Good and Keith Porter here in California have incensed many Democrats, and it's become a bit of a red line for the caucus. The question is, will Democrats hold the line? I mean, last time Democrats were holding the line, it was on health care. And at the end, it felt to many like Democrats just kind of gave in with the hope that they could live to fight another day on health care.
Of the 13 appropriations bills that moved through the House of Representatives, this is probably the most difficult committee to serve on. I served on it for more than a decade. And traditionally, in order to move our bill out of the 13 committees and then to have hearings and to have markups over the 13 bills, we try to move in a bipartisan way. However, by the time the House appropriations bills hit the floor, that is to the broader membership beyond the committees of respective jurisdictions, you end up with a few hot button issues that made it through the process that could very well jeopardize the appropriations process. But I tend to lean on the side of what the majority thinks, even though we may have passed them in the legislative process that is the House Appropriations Committee. When the rest of the American people examine what they are looking at with their own eyes, what they're looking at on their own television sets, when a woman can get shot in the face, and she won't be the last person to be shot. Just a few days later, a man got shot in the leg by ICE, and more coming. When this weather changes, this same behavior isn't going anywhere. The President of the United States is talking about invoking the Insurrection Act. Not just, by the way, he can't just invoke the Insurrection Act in the state of Minnesota. When the President of the United States invokes the Insurrection Act, he invokes it for the entire nation, not just that state, which means he gets to come back into Chicago. He gets to come back into New York under the Insurrection Act. And you can't even imagine what kind of authority that truly represents. I'm talking about caging Americans on large scales who might protest. They can put a fence around 100,000 people and they cannot leave under the Insurrection Act. And so I think these are very perilous and very difficult times, Nee. And so it's definitely real estate that no member of Congress has ever truly walked. And we're going to have to tread very lightly because Democrats do need to maintain the resistance going into this process. We saw what happened when 8 Democratic senators decided they wanted to reopen the government. They seemed to have better idea than everybody else in the Congress, and what the reaction was. I would strongly discourage Democrats from allowing that same reaction to occur going into a season where it looks like we can regain control of the Congress.
When we come forward, Jesse, I want to get your thoughts on this. In addition to the red flashing light that I'm seeing and hearing, that you're seeing and hearing, that so many folks paying attention are seeing and hearing in terms of the president's threat to invoke the Insurrection Act, we're learning that the Los Angeles Police Department wants nearly $100 million to police the Olympics. And the question is who's going to pay for it? And we know that LAPD wants to buy around 500 vehicles and 300 patrol vehicles, and they want 1,600 body cameras. They want all that. And in total, they're asking for $95.8 million. And the city of Los Angeles likely doesn't have it. But guess what? The federal government has set aside $1 billion for Olympic security spending, some of which is expected to flow to local and state law enforcement. I have a theory here, Jesse Jackson Jr. I have a theory that the city of LA is going to need that money, and the city of LA is going to have to make a moral choice. Are you going to take that money in order to secure the Olympics, knowing that this president, this administration is going to extract a pound of flesh, likely including some greater coordination with ICE? That's my theory. I want to test it against what your theory might be. When we come forward, you're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community, educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caSMPvolunteer.org. Worried about unpredictable utility bills this winter? LADWP's Level Pay makes budgeting a breeze. With Level Pay, you'll receive a monthly bill that stays the same. No surprises. Even past due amounts can be rolled in, and you'll skip those seasonal spikes from heating your home. Sign up today at ladwp.com/levelpay. That's ladwp.com/levelpay, or call 1-800-DIAL-DWP and take control of your bill.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has work source centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
In our remaining minutes with Jesse Jackson Jr., for folks who are just tapping in for the break, I mentioned that LAPD wants nearly $100 million to police the Olympics. And they want it sooner than later. Really now, more than 2 years out from the world's largest sporting event coming to LA. It's worth noting that the federal government has set aside $1 billion for Olympic security spending, some of which is expected to flow to local and state law enforcement. But FEMA, who's tasked with distributing those funds, they've yet to share details on the scope or timeline of that application process. I had just shared with Jesse Jackson Jr., our featured guest this hour, my theory that there's going to be a poison pill that comes along with these funds that will not be disconnected from giving ICE additional entry and additional patrol opportunities during the Olympics. Jesse Jackson Jr., what say you?
I think your theory is very plausible, but the same theory could apply to other ways in which he may exact a pound of flesh. And that is, it may be in a negotiation with Gavin Newsom that we never see. It may present itself in the form of a shakedown, if you will, of the Los Angeles congressional delegation and some compromises that he may ask them to make for those funds. But lest should we forget that the United States Secret Service is largely charged with security for the Olympics because of counterterrorism and all of these other functions. So the $1 billion could very well result in more ICE agents being deployed to perform security procedures at the Olympics. It could be, if he invokes the Insurrection Act, the President of the United States could call the National Guard in to provide security for the Olympics. Don't forget, the Olympics themselves are a global event, and therefore there is a customs and enforcement event, a mission at the end of the Olympics to make sure everyone goes back home. That too has to be taken into consideration. Of course, the city of Los Angeles would be a great beneficiary of its request if in fact it were designated. $1 billion is a lot of money. It's simply impossible to do it without Los Angeles law enforcement and the various agencies that support the LAPD. But it's going to come at a cost. Donald Trump, he's the art of the deal. He has a deal in it. And lest should we forget, possibly a significant amount of money to private contractors. People can write contracts and checks and provide political contributions to people that the Trump administration designates.
Jesse Jr., while we have you, there's talk about the 25th Amendment. It seems to me that lawmakers, folks in Congress, are leaning away from talk about impeachment of Donald Trump and leaning towards putting pressure on members of his cabinet to invoke the 25th Amendment. USA Today reporting that several lawmakers are calling on President Trump's cabinet and Congress to boot him from office using never before invoked provisions of the Constitution. It's a mix of members of the Progressive Caucus, the CBC, and part of this stemming from Trump sending a text message on January 18th saying, in part, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars, plus I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace. This text has been described as the last straw for some Trump opponents who called it an example of the president's ailing faculties. Is this just inside the Beltway chatter and tough talk, or is this real?
I think it's tough talk from the left. I don't see any movement on the right. But what I can tell you is the behavior of the president of the United States is bizarre. Clearly, he's in some kind of crisis, and a megalomaniac who has people around him constantly satisfying his ego. They know every button to push. I was reading earlier today, Project 2025 Explained. This little book I have right here. Listen, the details in Project 2025, which will be celebrating, if you will, it's celebrating its 1-year anniversary on January 20th. The details from the Heritage Foundation are so intricate that it covers every single office in every single cabinet of the entire federal government. The President of the United States, to fulfill this mission, hired 55,000 people. And so the army of people under Donald Trump who are aiding and abetting the president's incapacity is enormous, including a federal judge who would rule against protesters and the First Amendment. It can only be seen as aiding and abetting the condition of the President of the United States himself. So these progressives, these Democrats that are calling for the invocation of the 25th Amendment are right in their call. Do they have the power to do anything about it? Of course they don't. They don't have control of the House. They don't have control of the Senate. They can't hold hearings. They can't move impeachment legislation forward. They can't hold members of the cabinet responsible and accountable for their behavior, given the president's incapacity. And that's why the election in 2026, Nii-Q, is so important.
That's absolutely right. I want to remind people that you can go to jessejacksonjr.com to learn more about your campaign.
JesseJacksonJr.com. JesseJacksonJr.com.
I'm sorry. Let me get it right. JesseJacksonJr.com. You can go there to learn more about the campaign that he's running to return to Congress, representing his old seat in Chicago. In addition, you can tune in weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Pacific to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show right here on KBLA Talk 1580. We love you so much, and ain't nothing you can do about it.
Man, I was just about to say that to you. Love you too, Nee, and ain't nothing you can do about it, brother.
You're listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you for having me, brother.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The Justice Department has served grand jury subpoenas to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, and several other state and local officials in a probe into whether they obstructed federal immigration enforcement after protest over an ICE operation.
Investigations are done by acquiring records. Investigations are then